In the year of 455, shortly after Augustine died, the entire province of North Africa, which belongs to the Roman Empire, fall into the hands of the barbarian known as the Vandals. And soon, the Vandals become the masters of the Mediterranean Sea, and then later on they ransack city of Rome in the year of 445. The fall of Rome in the hands of the Vandals, it was not the first time happens in history. Now, 45 years before that, the city of Rome was also being invaded by another foreigners from a different group They were known as the Visigoth. For the very first time in the Roman history, the city of Rome was being overrun, was being ransacked by the invaders. Never before, even since the time of Romulus built the city. It's a big news. I'm pretty sure at a time if the internet exists, then the internet has exploded with all of this kind of like headline news. The city of Rome 45-1 was finally being invaded by the Visigoth. And not just that one. Several years before 451, the Roman emperor for the very first time was defeated by the barbarian army. Somewhere happens in the eastern part of the Roman Empire. Now, it was also a big news. The Roman Empire was defeated, and then to make things worse, he was captured. And according to the story, even like the Eastern Roman Empire capital, which is at that time was Constantinople, also almost fell into the hands of the barbarians. Well, thanks to the massive wall structure that protecting the city of Constantinople, the Constantinople were safe from this barbarian invasion. So, what's going on with the Roman Empire? So, what's going on with this mighty Roman Empire? The symbol of civilization, the symbol of culture and orderliness. What happened? What's going on? This is like what's happened. And that was not it. The years before that, gradually Roman lost their territories, especially in the western part of Europe. In what now modern country of France, they lost most of their territory near the Danube River. Think it this way, Danube River is become like the border between the civilized world of Rome and the uncivilized world according to the Romans, the barbarians according to the Romans, the foreigners, including part of England. England too. If you remember like the story about Julius Caesar conquered part of England and claimed it as the part of the Roman Empire. Now, the Roman influence there too were lost. Now, of all of this kind of like barbarian invasions to the Romans, Attila the Hun had the most destructive impact on the Roman Empire itself. Wherever the Huns go, wherever the Hun travel, wherever the Huns invade, they literally lay down waste any kind of town, any kind of like city that they pass. They are very terrifying. They are very terrifying because they spare no prisoners. Wherever they travel, there's just only destruction and death. In fact, Attila the Hun, he almost conquered the city of Rome. If only he was not stopped by someone, a pope by the name of Leo I. There was this kind of like, mysterious conversation between Attila and Pope Leo I. But one thing for sure, after talking to Pope Leo, Attila the Hun, without saying a word, he decided to turn around and then never attempt to capture the city of Rome again. And then several months later, he died mysteriously. Now the legend said, when Pope Leo I talks to Attila, Attila did not only see an old man wearing a dress like that, Pope Leo I, Attila saw 3%. According to the legend, the other 2% that's standing right next to Pope Leo I was Saint Peter and Saint Paul. So what's going on with the Roman Empire? If you have a football team and then your football team always losing the game, that means it's time for you as a team to have a timeout and then discussing the strategies and everything. So it seems to be something's wrong with the Roman Empire. Now, what are these things? What is it? Like, what is wrong with the Roman Empire? It is in the natures of the human. Whenever human create an institution or organization, eventually it will corrupt it. Eventually it will be crumbled. No matter how beautiful, no matter how good is the original purpose of the value of the organization itself when it was being founded. It's same thing with the Roman Empire. So what's going on with Rome was the problem within the Roman society itself. The Roman since the time of Julius Caesar is already on a journey on us downhill. Well, yeah, actually granted, during the time of Caesar Augustus, the Roman Empire they achieved what we call the golden age. It was like the pinnacle of their moment. It was like the glorious moment for them. The Pax Romana, everything is just wonderful for the Roman Empire. But after that, everything is just like going downhill. The source of the problem is we cannot pinpoint, but there are several theories. One of the popular theories is the Roman they heavily relying too much on the slave. One Roman citizen can be served by four. And where they get the slaves from? They got the slaves from the war. The Romans, they are expansionists. Whenever they're conquering a new land, they will capture with them a lots of slaves. These invaders later on, they founded their own kingdoms. They carved out from the Roman Empire territory itself. The legacy that they left still impacting us today. The name of the area, the name of the region in Europe is named after the group that is named after the nation that founded the kingdom. For example, the modern country of France, it's named after the Frankish tribes. And the Germany, it's named after the Germanic people, which is the word Germanic itself is to generalize many other smaller tribes known as like the Germanic tribes. We got Visigoth, we got Ostrogoth, we got the Vandals, we got Saxon, we got Angles. There are plentiful of Germanic tribes. And not just that one, even the word England came from the land of the Anglo. Now Anglo is another group of barbarian who migrate from Germany all the way to the British Island. That's why you get the name England, Anglo-land. Get it? Anglo-land. Another group of invaders, they settled down in the northern part of Italy. They were known as the Lombard. That area on the northern part of the Italy, known also like the Lombardy. I wish I can explain in this video the origins of these people came from and then the story of their migration from one place to another place. It will be not enough for me to explain it in the video. Not all of these barbarians, not all of these invaders are from Europe. There are this one particular group of invaders. They came all the way from Asia. They were known as the Huns. And then the mightiest king of them is someone by the name of Attila. Yes, Attila the Hun. But then again, the slavery was not the only problem. The Roman itself, they have a problem with the immoralities. And not just that one, actually one thing leads to another. The Roman Empire also, they were plagued by the civil war because they always have a problem with the successions of the emperor. Who's gonna become the next emperor? Someone might think that, he should become the emperor. No, he should be him. He should become the emperor. And like that. And then they had a quarrel and then they had a civil war. And then to add up some more problems with the Roman Empire also had a plague, a great plague that kills like 1/3 of the populations at a time. This is a series of a complicated reason that what makes the Roman Empire start to become weaker and weaker and weaker. It's kind of like a downward spiral, just goes like that. When the moment that the barbarians invaders arrive, it was an easy pick for them. Yes, these barbarians are not necessarily carving out the territory from the Roman Empire by force. Some of them, they take it peacefully. So think it this way, what happened with the Roman Empire at that time, it was the fulfillment of the principle, you reap what you sow. As the Roman Empire itself, they start their history with violence, wars, and trickery. And this is also what happened and how they end. Well, here's the good news. The Roman Empire did not completely destroy it at that time. When the history recorded that the Roman Empire fell, actually, it's more on the western side of the Roman Empire. But the Eastern Roman Empire, it's as if nothing happens. The Eastern Roman Empire with their capital in Constantinople, they still exist, they're still alive and kicking, and then they still become like the center of the culture, the center of the civilizations, all the way for another 1,000 years until finally they fall in the years of like 1453, in the year of 1453. Think about that. They still lasted, they still standing for another thousands of years. And if you're thinking like somehow like the Roman Empire is completely forgotten and then like they have no more impact on us, no, actually if you slows down your life a little bit and then you look around you, in many ways we can still somehow felt that we're being influenced by the Roman civilization, starting from our alphabet, the way we build things, the way we think, the way we run the government. However, the Roman culture will not going to be able to be inherited to us without the big help of the church. Yes, exactly. The church have a big role during this transition time. As the Roman Empire was being invaded by the barbarians, everything is crumbling down. The roads, the buildings, the education, the government system, it seems to halt after the Roman fall. But then again, the church, through their monastery, they diligently, they're collecting like the manuscript, they're collecting all of the books, and after that they copy it, they multiply it by handwrite, by copying from one parchment to another parchment, and then like over the times, and then it become a collections of a library. So think it this way, the church through the monastery is the one who preserve this precious knowledge of this ancient world of the Roman and also the Greeks. We now learn about the Aristotles, we learn about Plato just because the church preserved this knowledge. As the Roman world during those times is crumbling, as the barbarians at that time, they couldn't care less with all of this kind of things. And over the time, the church become the guardian of this knowledge, and then they are transferring the knowledge. They are transferring the culture to this new nation, to these new barbarians who later on they become like the early European kingdoms at a time. And the Christian should represent the city of God. Now, as these two cities eternally conflicting against each other, they have one similarities. They will have like one foundation. They will have a same foundation, and the foundation is love. Only the difference is the city of man, love is for themselves. Meanwhile, the city of God, every citizen in the city of God, they love one thing. They love God. God is the center of their life. Meanwhile, in the city of man, man is the center of their life. And according to Augustine, the fate of every city of man is only one thing. They will eventually wither and die and completely destroyed and completely forgotten, but not with the city of God. The city of God will remain forever, everlasting, and never end throughout any ages, no matter what. In the perspective of Saint Augustine, the Roman Empire served God's purpose. What is that? Is to share the Gospels, is to help the church to spread the Gospels to all nations, to different tongues, to different regions, to different background. But as the purpose of the Roman Empire itself is already done, God let the city of man by the name of Rome to slowly decline, to slowly completely wither and die, just like every other city of man. Now, not because that God punished them, but because it is the consequences of sin. By this moment, you're probably thinking, why we should learn history? We should learn history so we may all learn about the past, so we can understand the scripture better, according to St. Augustine. Until next time, I see you guys. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.